you see the potential for banks to get involved in remittances?
Well, good morning, Liz, first of all. Actually, this is an interesting question for two reasons. I see potential for banks to be involved in remittances in two cases, whether they're actually in countries that are primarily receiving remittances. That's a very obvious business opportunity for them because they can actually channel hard currencies into the country, make a non-interest revenue based on those services that they provide, and be a very important player for a large part of the population. For banks that are actually primarily in send countries, let's remember that the migrant population is probably, probably 10 to 20% of the people are coming from somewhere else, whether they're coming from another country or whether they're actually internal migrant. Let's just look at Europe, for example. There's a lot of intra-Europe migration that is happening. So banks, by definition, if they're going after this customer segment, have to be involved in the remittances because that's relevant for their customers. Now the question is how to get involved in the remittances. To be involved in the remittances for banks, they have actually to join a relevant player or partner with the best-in-class player. Because by doing that, so for example, partnering with Western Union, they immediately have access to a network effect. So for example, 420,000 locations across the globe when they partner with Western Union, so they don't have to go and try to develop their own, that network themselves, which is a very costly proposition. The second piece is like when they join a network like Western Union, the brand is extremely well known for that target consumer group. So they don't have to do the work of explaining, educating, and marketing the product. It's already marketed. Three, they have access to a service provider that has a very strong operating model, understands compliance across 200 jurisdictions across the globe. So they also don't have to bother about that because actually it's taken care of by a very professional entity. Four, actually something very interesting is that they're also getting access to a multi-channel effect. So it's not only brick and mortar, it's not only about locations, but actually more and more the remittances are going through electronic channels, be it from the web or be it from mobile. Mobile is something a lot of people are talking about these days. So what I'm saying is like banks should be interested in this market segment because it's very interesting. It's non-interest revenue. It's relevant for a lot of people in their target consumer groups. They just have to partner with the right entity that gives them immediate access to the whole world and to multi-channels, and that's Western Union, obviously.
Money transfer is mainly used by people who move abroad and send money on a regular basis. Do you actually see this becoming a standard mainstream bank product?
Absolutely. Actually, it is. It is mainstream, and if you look at it, actually, the mainstream uses for money transfer are becoming very similar to what typically the migrants' usage is. So it is becoming a standard banking product. In particular, with the development of the electronic channels, sending money to each other for multiple users can be for regular remittances. I send money to my daughter on a regular basis when she's at college, sometimes on an emergency basis. So that's actually another potential use. I pay some of my suppliers, Gardner or other people like that, just using money transfer when I'm traveling. So there's a lot of usage, especially for smaller amounts, that is developing because cash is still something that is needed at one end of the transactions. And with electronic channels, so more and more, for example, now you can send from your mobile phone, you can initiate a transfer and pay somebody in another state in the US or another country in Europe. This is becoming something more mainstream. People are thinking about doing that more, in a more mainstream fashion. There's also the development of the prepaid card business. And the prepaid card business, for example, for us, is addressing the mainstream market as well. So a lot of people actually don't necessarily want to use their bank accounts, or they want to use actually another stored value type of account for a certain type of usage. Money transfer across these financial instruments is becoming actually more and more relevant. I'll just give you an example. We have a very significant business in the US just doing domestic money transfer. That's the mainstream population. It's not a migrant population only. So it's becoming a must-have product for the banks if they want to bring the relevant services to their customers, and their customers don't have to go somewhere else to shop. And especially with electronic banking or electronic channels, you can bring that to your consumers without necessarily having to develop over-the-counter capabilities or a new brand, etc.